Hello, in this video I'm going to be predicting every fight on UFC Fight Night, Dolidze versus Hernandez. We're going to start from the early prelims and build our way to the top of the card. First, I want to say I'm on Topology right now because for some odd reason the UFC website doesn't show this fight night. So I'm on Topology. And we're going to start off with Cody Brundage versus Eric McConaughey. I'm going to go with Cody Brundage to win this fight because even though he did lose his last fight versus Mansour Abdulmalik, it was a very weird decision-making by the judges or the referee to go to the scorecards after Mansour headbutted Brundage. They scored the third round for some reason, even though it lasted 30 seconds or something like that. And Mansour Abdulmalik got gifted a victory over headbutting someone. But anyway, I don't really see that as a loss, and honestly, he could have been winning that fight, in my opinion. And Eric McConaughey, he's had one fight in the UFC. It was with Nursultan Ruzaboyev, and he fought kind of hesitant in that fight. Kind of wanted to avoid the big shots, but still got caught in the second round and put away by TKO. And I feel like Brundage just more experience, and maybe it goes to the ground. Anyway, I'm just gonna say Cody Brundage wins this fight by decision, 30-27, 29-28. Let's move on to Gabriela Fernandez versus Yulia Stolarenko. I think I'm gonna go with Gabriela Fernandez to win this fight. I mean, the record kind of speaks for itself, 10-3 to 11-8-1. I know Stolarenko, she submitted Molly McCann, but a lot of people been doing that recently. Or just Alexa Fernara, which retired Molly McCann, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Fernandez to win this fight. Beat Wang Kong. Wang Kong is good. Yeah, Wang Kong is very good at striking. I think she beat Shevchenko in a kickboxing fight, but then she tried to catch a head kick from Fernandez, and then it got through that rocked her, and then she got submitted with a rear naked choke. Fernandez won, so I'm gonna say she wins this fight probably by decision with control time. Uros Medic versus Gilbert Urbina. I gotta go with Uros Medic to win this fight. I know he just got knocked out in his last fight by Punahele Soriano because he backed up in straight line and didn't throw anything back, but everybody makes mistakes. And, you know, Medic is pretty good. He was beating Mikdebek Oralbai, I'm pretty sure, before he got submitted by a neck crank, or a face crank, I think it was. But I think Uros Medic is a pretty decent striker. And Gilbert Urbina, I mean, I don't remember his last fight. I remember he had a TKO loss to Charles Radke, it was. Let me just check his past fights because I don't really remember if Tapology would load. But as I was saying, I think Uros Medic is probably just going to outstrike Gilbert Urbina and might get a TKO. So yeah, he's coming off a Radke loss. He beat Orion Kosk or Kose, or however you say that name. Got subbed by Brian Battle. TKO'd by Trayshawn Gore. But yeah, I've got to say that Uros Medic wins this fight by TKO. And it's at welterweight. Yeah, it's at welterweight. Wasn't Urbina fighting at middleweight? I mean, for a few fights, I guess. But anyway, Jocelyn Edwards versus Priscilla Cachoeira. I'm gonna go with Jocelyn Edwards to win this fight because I think she's actually kind of good. some hands. Put away Chelsea Chandler in her last fight. I mean, that was a kind of no-brainer, but I forgot what was before that, but Tamira's Vidal, I think it was, by rear naked choke, and then before that lost to Eileen Perez by decision. And she's missed weight a lot of times, Jocelyn Edwards, but it happens, I guess, and there's no consequence for it in the UFC. Priscilla Cachoeira, she's coming off that knockout win over, what's her name, Josiane Nunes. Before that, it's a loss to Jasmine Jasdavicius by rear naked choke or Darce choke, and got armbarred by Miranda Maverick. Those are probably better fighters than Jocelyn Edwards, but I think this is going to be a decision victory for Edwards. Looks a lot like Leon Edwards, too. I thought I'd mention that. Elijah Smith versus Toshiomi Kazama. I'm going to go with Elijah Smith to win this fight. Maybe by a TKO. Because Kazama, he's coming off that triangle win over Charalampos Gregorio, I think his name was, who kind of got out-grappled in round one unimpressively, but then just emptied the tank in round two and gassed and got submitted. I don't think Elijah Smith is going to, or I don't think Kazama is going to be able to implement that grappling. I think Elijah Smith is probably going to outstrike him. He almost got submitted by, what's his name, Vince Morales, Elijah Smith did, but yeah, I'm going to say a TKO win or a decision win for Elijah Smith. Julius Walker versus Rafael Secura. I'm going with Julius Walker to win this fight. Lost a decision to Alonzo Menifield in his debut, which isn't too bad, and he took that one on short notice. They clinched up for a lot of it, but it was a pretty decent fight. But eventually, Menifield just won. It was pretty close, though. And Cerquera, I mean, so far it's 2 knockout losses in the UFC, put away by Ibo Aslan. That is really not a good look anymore. And Modestas Bukauskas, I mean, he's good, so not the worst look, and he was landing some shots before, but, kind of just got hit once by Ibo Aslan, covered up, and got TKO'd, so I think Julius Walker has more dog in him, and he's going to be able to pull this one off by TKO. That's what I gotta say. Now, this should be the main card. Eric Anders, Christian Leroy Duncan. Definitely going with CLD on this one. Eric Anders is kind of past his prime. Coming off a win, though, over Chris Weidman, who looked awful, but, I expected Chris Weidman to win this fight, I think. Or that fight. But, CLD is just kind of better striker, faster, maybe the better grappler, but he's probably going to look to make this a stand-up fight and outstrike Eric Anders. I see leg kicks working. I could see a lot of things working for CLD. Maybe he can use those spinning back kicks, but yeah, I just think CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan's kind of going to beat up on Eric Anders. Maybe get him to clinch a little bit like CLD did a lot with Andre Pulyaev. But yeah, I'm going to say probably a TKO win for Christian Leroy Duncan. And now Miles Johns versus Gene Matsumoto. I'm going with Gene Matsumoto to win this fight. Miles Johns throws nothing but whiffs overhand rights. Sometimes it works. A lot of the time it doesn't, but I mean, he you can get some decision wins like Douglas Silva de Andrade. I think that's his last win, and after that he lost to Felipe Lima, that's his name. Just kind of got outstruck on the outside and outgrappled a little. Gene Matsumoto, he outgrappled Rob Font in his last fight, lost the fight, got outdamaged, but it was very close. I thought he could have won, but he could have won, but I feel like Rob also could have won. And I mean, kind of Rob Font, that's an issue he's had. He can get held down, but yeah, I'm gonna say Gene Matsumoto probably outgrapples Miles Jones to a decision, maybe even finds a submission. I'm gonna say decision win for him. Andre Fili versus Christian Rodriguez. See, this is a tough one because Christian Rodriguez, he can fraud check every undefeated prospect, but then loses to somebody he should beat, like Julian Erosa, got guillotined in round 1 by him. And he also is coming off a loss with, Melquizel Costa, that's his name. Got a decision. I mean, Melky's good, but I mean, the Erosa loss, I don't really like that too much. But Andre Fili, I think he's also coming off his losses. Some losses. Coming off a win over Cub Swanson, which I thought he lost. But also, what was his last fight? It was also Melquizel Costa. But Andre Fili got finished in that fight by a guillotine. Just chucked himself in a guillotine practically. And was losing the fight before that and got outstruck. So I'll say Christian Rodriguez wins this fight, but I don't really like this pick. I mean, I don't know about this one, but anyway. Yasmin Lucindo and Angela Hill. I think Yasmin Lucindo is going to get her takedowns. I mean, the fight with Amanda Lemos was a disgrace to the sport, and I don't know why that was on the main card of a pay-per-view, but, you know, WMMA, sometimes like that. And Angela Hill, she's coming off a win over Ketlin Souza. I'm pretty sure that was a split decision, but she's had a lot of split decisions in her career. A lot of them she's lost, but she could have won, like Tabitha Ritchie, who just got takedowns and got outstruck, but they still gave it to Ritchie. So, Yasmin Lucindo, yeah, as I said before, I think she's going to get her takedowns and probably get a decision win. Don't be surprised if it goes to a split decision. Steve Erceg versus Ode Osborne. Going with Steve Erceg on this one for sure. I mean, if he loses to Ode Osborne, I don't that might be the end. This might be the end if he loses to Ode Osborne, but I think he's gonna win. I really do think he wins this one. I'm not calling Ode Osborne bad, but I don't think he is top. I don't think he's championship level at flyweight, which Steve Erceg looked. He did great against Pantoja. Could have won that fight. Really could have won that fight. You could even make an argument 4-1 for Erceg. But Ode Osborne lost to, what's his name? He got fraud checked recently. Rolando Rodriguez, I think it was. That probably should have been a draw, but, you know, it was a noche card, so of course they're going to give it to Rodriguez. Dropped him, pulled the triangle, and, I mean, almost a 10-8 in round 1, but not quite. I think he got 10-8'd in round 2. And in my opinion, he should have won the 3rd round, but, you know, judges think differently. So I'm going to say Steve Erceg wins this one. If you're losing to Rolando Rodriguez and Steve Erceg can can potentially win a fight against Alexandre Pantoja, then I think there's levels to this. I know, but he is coming off a few losses. Got KO'd by Carcara France, but he was winning that fight against Carcara France, and got dropped and TKO'd in round 1. Fight after that, Brandon Moreno fight, didn't really throw much in that fight. Kind of like a Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov performance. But I think he won a round of that fight. It was 5 rounds, so I'm going to go with Steve Erceg probably by TKO or decision 30-27. Now let's move on to the main event. Roman Dolidze, Anthony Hernandez. Now, this is either going to work really well for me or really badly for me, or I'm going to look like an idiot and a fool and I'm going to eat my own words, but I'm not hopping on the Anthony Hernandez hype train just yet. I think he's kind of overrated. Everybody likes to call him underrated. I kind of think the opposite. And I feel like Roman Dolidze is, well, I feel like with Anthony Hernandez, there are things that can be exposed. I don't think he's a very high-level wrestler, but he does have pretty good BJJ. Wrestling, not as much, but he has good cardio, so if opponents get tired, it's easier. And he's got a pretty good chin. Pretty hard to put away. He's kind of got a flabby Mexican build, but body shots could work. Kevin Holland TKO'd him with a knee to the body. And I don't really think much of Hernandez's stand-up. I mean, I'm not calling Dolidze the greatest striker in the world, but he might just look a lot better than Hernandez in this fight if it stays on the feet. And if this goes to the ground, then first of all, does Hernandez get his takedowns early on? I don't really think so, because Dolidze is a decent wrestler, and I want to talk about the submission game. Calf slicer against Jack Hermanson into a TKO. He popped Phil Hawes's knee out with, was it a knee bar or a heel hook, leg lock, something like that, and yeah, then he knocked him out after that. So Hernandez is probably going to have to watch out for those submissions. I could see Dolidze twisting him up if he makes a bad takedown entry, which he does do a lot. Versus Michel Pereira, good performance, very good performance, but Michel Pereira gassed after one combination. He had about a few minutes of cardio before he completely gassed, and Hernandez took that Michel Pereira to round 5, so I don't really like that too much. And Michel Pereira maybe has a worse gas tank in the UFC, but yeah, I'm going with Roman Dolidze to win this fight. I'm going to say he wins a stand-up, can make Hernandez a little bit hesitant to shoot on him. If he does, maybe he gets a submission. And anyway, I think he can probably defend the takedowns. He's been 5 rounds. So I feel like he probably does have the cardio. And I don't really see Hernandez getting that dominant position. So either I'm going to eat my own words or I get this one right and I'll look like a genius. So that's going to be it for this video. And I'll see you for the recap. Goodbye.